Okay, so we have one more type of objects in collections which are called as maps. So let's see like what maps are and like how you can store the data into the maps and how we can retrieve the data from the maps. So even like array list and collections, like array list and the linked list and all the other types of lists, like what we were able to do is like we were able to store some values into it. Okay, and each of the type had different types of variations, like how the values are stored and how the values are retrieved from them. So there were different things how the values were stored into those collection objects. Okay, and in the same way, like how the maps will do work is like we can store the values in the form of key and value pairs. In the sense like you can tie one key and some value. So we can tie a value to a key. So basically they are pair of values that you can store into that object. Okay, and by default like it only allows the keys should be unique. Okay, so whatever the keys that we store into that array or the maps, like you can only store unique values. Okay, but the values can be anything, like values can be duplicated and you can have the same value for multiple keys also, but the keys should be unique. Okay, and then in case if a duplicate key is added, like what it does is it overwrites like whatever the previous one was there, it overrides that key with the new value that you are storing it. Okay, so let's try to create a map and see how we can store the values and how we can retrieve the values. Okay, again in the maps there are three different types of maps, like one is hash map, like linked map, and also tree map. Okay, again see there are different differences between those three types of maps. The first one is the hash map, which does not maintain any order. Okay, so because of that it's very fast compared to the linked map and the tree map. Okay, so whenever you create a hash map and you store values into it, like it does not maintain what on at what order we are adding the values to that map. Okay, so it does not maintain it. So for because of that, like it's very fast when you are trying to access it. Okay, whereas linked map, it maintains the order in which in whatever way that we have added the elements, like it maintains the order in that way. Okay, and whereas tree map, it maintains the natural sorting order, in the sense like if you are adding let's say string values, so alphabetical order. If you are adding a numerical values, like it will store a numerical like in numerical order. Okay, so let's try to create a hash map and see how we can store the values or how we actually can create a hash map. Okay, so let's go back to the Eclipse and I'll create a new class. So right click on the package, go to the new and say class. Okay, and let's give some name to it. So I'll say collections underscore hash map. Okay, collection underscore hash map, and I want a main method. So I'll select that main method here, click on finish. So it created a class for us. So let's take this out. Okay, so first thing that we need to do is we need to create a map object. See map, let's say hm, which is our hmap, which is hash map, equal to new hash map, new hash map of. Okay, so it is giving me an error to us. So map hmap equal to new hash map. So let's hover over it and say it says see import map java.util. So let's click on that, which will import the class file. See, it added this line of code to us. And in the same way, let's add the see new hash map. Even hover over it. See, again you need to import the hash map. Import hash map. So it added one more line of code to import map and one line of code to import hash map. Okay, so now hmap dot is going to give you the list. See hmap dot add. Okay, sorry, not add, put. See hmap dot put. And if you see here, see like there are two parameters that needs to go into the map. One is argument 0 and argument 1. So argument 0 means like it's a key, and argument 1 is the value that you want to store into or map to that value. Okay, so let's say see I'm giving it as 1. Okay, and I want to add the value as, let's say, Jan, like this. So hmap.put 1 and Jan. I'm storing value 1, like mapping that January or Jan to a value called 1. And in the same way, see hmap.put, like let's say 2 and Feb, like this. hmap.put, see 3 comma value is, let's say, March, like this. And hmap dot put 4 and the value May or April, like this. Okay, so let's say I have like put 4 values into it, like this. So like this, like what are the values that you want to put into that variable, like, or to the map, like we can add it like this. Okay, so it's a key and value pair, like this. So this is what key and value pairs are. So 1 is a key and Jan is a value, 2 is a key, Feb is a value. So we are associating like Jan to this key 1, Feb to the key 2, like that. Okay, so if you have multiple values, like we can store it like this. And then let's say if you want to display, like this is how you are adding those values into the map. But let's say if you want to display it, okay, so what we can do is, see system.out.println, okay, and I can say hmap dot get, okay, and key is, let's say, 1. Okay, hmap dot key 1, like this. So what it will do is, it will give you Jan, whatever the value that is associated to that key, it will give you that key, okay, or that value. See, let me run this and see. See, it gave me Jan. Okay, so it's like you are storing the values in the form of keys and items, okay, or keys and values, and with the help of the key, you can get the value from that list. Okay, and in the same way, let's say if you want to get everything, like all the display all the keys and values, so we can use a loop here. Let's say we can use a for loop. I'll iterate over the array. See, for I equal to 0 and I less than hmap dot size. So even this has a size. See, hmap dot size, which will give you the number of values that are there in that map, and I plus plus. So same way, see. Okay, system. Okay, actually we are giving value in code. So instead of this, I'll give integer value. So because I am running the loop, okay, and see hmap dot get of I. See, so it will just run through the loop and it'll get to, see, we are starting from 0. Let's see if it comes or not. So actually it's starting from 1, so we should not start from 0. Instead I'll give start from 1 and 1 2 3 4 will be 4, so equal to, okay, because I want to go until it is 4. So 1 2 3 4, so size will be 4, so I'm running 4 times. See, so it's asking us to save. See, now January, February, March and April, like that. Okay, so this is how, like, we can loop through and we can retrieve the values. See, let me comment this. So that's one by one. Let's say if you want to get the values one by one, we can do this. Instead, let's say if you want to display everything at one shot, like, see, we can do this. System.out.println, just to display the value. So what we can do is, we can just give M1, oh sorry, hmap, like this. Okay, so we don't need to loop through or we don't need to do anything. If you give M1 or this hmap, whatever the object that you created, like it will display or give you all the values. See, See, 1 equal to Jan, 2 equal to Feb, 3 equal to March, 4 equal to April, like this. Means like it will display the list of values, like what are the values that are there in the form of keys and items or keys and values, like it will display, or it will give you all those values as a array like this. Okay, so based on our requirement, either we can loop through each of the value and retrieve the values, or we can also get everything like this. Okay, and you can store that into a list, and again you can loop through the list and get the value. So based on our requirement, we can do whichever the one that we want to. Okay, and this is the hash map. See, we created a hash map object, and by default it does not store, like, maintain any order. So now it is displaying like properly itself, like 1 2 3 4, but like if you have a lot of values, like if you store thousands of values into that list, like, or the map, like what will happen is the values will not be stored in the order that you added to it. It can be in any way. Okay, 1 can be first, 2 can be second, like 4 can be third, 3 can be fourth, something like that. So based on its own memory, like its algorithm, like it stores the values into that map. Okay, that's what the hash map is. And in the same way how we have the hash map, like we also have a linked map. Okay, so what this linked map will do is, like, it maintains the order in which way that we added the values to that list or the map. Okay, see, let me create a new class. See, class, and say collections underscore linked map. Okay, so I'll need a main method, so I'll click finish. See. Okay, so map, let's say lmap equal to new linked map, like this. Okay, again import the classes. See, class, oh, so it should be uppercase M. See, if I write a lowercase m and hover over it, it says create class map. That means it does not know what that map is. So it's asking, do you want to create that, to create a new class and write your code? Okay, or in case if you write a uppercase, then it will ask you to import. See, import map java.util. So it's like a strong type language, like Java is a strong type language. So we have to give every spelling, like if it is uppercase, we need to give uppercase. If it is lowercase, we need to give lowercase. Otherwise, it doesn't understand it. Okay, see, and it says linked hash map or what? It's linked map only. Yeah, linked hash map. Okay, see, map, I'm like lmap or something equal to linked hash map. And same thing, even here also the values you can store it in the form of keys and values. See, lmap dot put. Okay, so let's say 1 and the value is, let's say, Jan, or some tool name, let's say Selenium, like this. And lmap dot put, okay, 2, and the value, let's say uft. Okay, then lmap dot put, then key 3, and some other tool, let's say cucumber, like this. Okay, so we can add the values like this. And in the same way, see, lmap dot, you can get the size, like using the size of, which will give you the size. So same method, so all the methods and class, everything will be the same. The only thing, the way the values are added and the values are stored is different. Okay, so I can just copy the other code and just display it, or we can just do this. So system.out.println, Okay, lmap. Okay, in the same way, let's display this one also. So we are displaying the size and displaying all the values. See, the size is 3 because there are 3 values into it, and first one is selenium, second UFT, third is cucumber, like that. So key and value. Okay, but now again the difference we can see it here because like we have only some very less values. So if you have a lot of values, like you will see the difference. Okay, and the next one is a tree map. So again, tree map stores the values in the way that you are adding, like it's a natural sorting order. Okay, so natural order in the sense alphabetical order or the other order like numerical order. See, right click, new class, let's say collections underscore uh, map, like tree map. Okay, and I need a main method. Finish it. Okay, so I can go back to the previous code and copy everything from there. Okay, and I'll make the changes. Okay, so instead of typing, I'm just like copying everything. See, so instead of linked hash map, I have to say tree map. Okay, so it's not able to get that. See, import tree map. That's it. Okay, so again, so now what I'll do is I'll instead of 3 and then I'll add 2 to it. Okay, so I'm adding 1, then 3, then 2. See, let's try to display it and see. See, now it gave 1 selenium, 2 cucumber and 3 UFT. So the order, like it maintains the alphabetical order. So when we are trying to display, see, it's displaying like this. So this is what the difference between the tree map and the other two types of maps. So it stores the values in the natural order. So as like 1, 2, 3 are numerical, like it's storing in the numerical order. And in the same way, let's say if you give a string value, see, let's say first I'm giving A, then let's say C, and let's say B. Okay, see. Now it's A, B, C. So it's a natural order, so it's natural sorting order. Okay, all we need to do is create that class based on whichever the type of object that you want to create. Okay, so you can either say map or you can also say see tree map also. Tree map equal to new tree map of. Even this will work. Okay, see A equal to selenium, B equal to cucumber, C equal to UFT. Either you can say a map or you can also say tree map and create that object of whichever the class that you want to. Okay, so these are the different collections that we have in Qt, like Selenium or in the Java, and that we can use it in the Selenium. Okay, so basically when you are working with a lot of data, like when you have some data that you are capturing it from a input file like Excel or something, and you want to compare that into a application, or you want to capture some data from the application and compare it with your input files. So we need some kind of objects where you can store, or some kind of place where you can store all the values. Okay, so for that reason itself, like we'll use all these collection objects. Okay, so that's what the collections are. So we can use the like all the what are the types of collections that we created, like based on your requirement you can select and use whichever the one that you want to. If it is key value pairs, we'll use a map. Okay, and if it is like just like a list of values that you want to store, so we can use the different types of lists we have, array list, linked list, like all those kinds of objects you can create and write the or store the values into it. Okay, so whenever, like when we do a framework, we'll try to use like based on whatever the options that we have or what we want to achieve, like we'll try to use one of these types of or maybe like whatever the types of collections that we want, we will use it there, and then you'll clearly understand what are the benefits of these collection objects. Okay, so let me close this. Okay, and the next topic that we'll see is inheritance. Okay, see, we'll see something called as inheritance. Like, it is one of the concept of object oriented programming that is supported by Java. Okay, so what this inheritance is, it's same like in real life or the general what inheritance means. So basically what it means is, let's say if you have some methods in a class, like let's say there is a class and you have multiple methods in that class, and you are creating one more class and you want to use or whatever the methods that are there in the first class in the second class also. Okay, so as already you have all the code in your first class, you don't need to write it again in the second class. So instead what you can do is, you can make the second class inherit the first class. So when the second class is inheriting it, what happens is, like, whatever the code that is there or whatever the methods variables that are there in the first class can be also used in the second class also. Okay, so that's what the inheritance is, in the sense, like, see, you have a parent class. Okay, let's say a parent class, and you have some methods in it. So let's say method 1, then method 2. Okay, and you are using it there. Let's say you are creating one more class called, let's say, child class, which is a different class and it is doing some different thing. Okay, but like, you also wants to use whatever that is there in here, like whatever the method that is there here, whatever the methods that are there in the parent class, you also want to use it in the child class. So what we can do is, we can make this child class inherit this parent class. So when it inherits, what will happen is, whatever the parent class has can be used by the child class. So child class will be able to call and use all the classes or whatever that is there in the parent class. That's what called is inheritance. Okay, so let's try to create a class and try to understand how we can, or how actually how exactly this inheritance works in Java. Okay, so first thing is, see, let me create a one class, new, see, class, let's say I'll call it as parent, or I'll say inheritance underscore parent class. Okay, and let's say I have my own main method. Okay, see, it created the class and it created the main method for us. Then what I'll do is, inside this, let's say not inside that, let's say next to that, so I'll create one method, public, let's say void addition, and open and close the brackets. Okay, so I'm creating one method called addition and I want to use the method. See, I'll do something here. Let's say int a equal to, or value 1 equal to 10, int value 2 equal to 20, int value 3 equal to value 1 plus value 2. Okay, so all I'm doing is, I'm just trying to add them and store it into value 3. Okay, and I want to display that system.out.println. See, added value is plus val 3. Okay, added value is value 3. So that's one method that we created. So what I can do, in case if I want to use this method in the same class, so all I'll do is, I'll create a class, see, inherited underscore parent class, let's say PC equal to new inheritance of this. Okay, okay, so see, inheritance, new inheritance of parent class. Then with this object PC dot addition, I can call that method. right? This is what the how to create methods and how we can call it from that same class. Okay, so let's run this. See, added value is 30, so it's able to execute it. Okay, now what I want to do is, instead of this class, let's say I can create my other classes also. Like I can create another java file and a class, and I can have some other methods in there. See, let's say I'll create a new class, new class. Okay, and let's say I'll give it as inheritance underscore child class, and I want to have a main method here also. See, okay, so now what I want to do, let's say I also want to add some values here. Okay, I want to do some addition here also. As I already have a method in here, I don't need to write that code again. So whatever the code that you already created, let's say like this, like how we have addition, let's say I have some 1,000 other methods that I created in this parent class. Okay, and the same thing that I want to use it in the child's class also. So I don't need to write all that methods again. Instead, what I can do, I can get this, I can use whatever the code that is there in this parent class. So to do that, like what we need to do is, see, we need to inherit that parent class. So how to do that is, see, extends, see, parent class, like this. Okay, so what will happen, see, public class, inheritance child class, extends parent class. Okay, so with this, see, now what I can do, so now it inherited. So what I can do is, now I can create a child class. See, child equal to new inheritance of. So I'm creating a child object itself, not the parent object. And now see, child dot see, addition. Okay, so in the child class, I didn't even write any lines of code, not even, like I didn't write any methods here. Okay, so what is happening, like it, when I am inheriting the parent class, see, it's coming whatever the parent has, like whatever the methods that are present in the parent class will be inherited by the child. And with that, like when you can create a child object, and then with that object itself, like you can access whatever that is there in the parent class. So all the methods of the parent can be accessed from here. So this is what is called as inheritance. Okay, and this, like with the help of inheritance, we can do the code reusability. So if you already have a code, like you don't need to write that code whenever you need it. Okay, so if you have the code already written, like all we can do is we can inherit that class, and from your class you can call all or use whatever that is there in the parent class. That's what this inheritance is. And not only that, see, you can use directly like this, or you can also create your own class also. Okay, sorry, you can create your own method also with the same name, even though you are inheriting it. Okay, so you can also have your own method here. Okay, in the sense, see, something like this, public void, okay, addition of addition, like this. Okay, so you already have it. See, it's not even giving an error. You already have that method, and let's say now what you want to do is, in this method you want to do something else also, like in the sense you want to use these lines of code, and plus you want to add some more lines of code. Okay, but you don't want to make changes. So parent wants to have only this, but let's say your child wants to use whatever that is there in the parent, plus it also wants to write some more logic, okay, or some more lines of code. We can also do that. Okay, how it is, see, super, there is a keyword called super dot, see, addition. Okay, so from the child script or from the child class, and in case if you want to rewrite it, like in case if you want to use the other method and also add your own code to it, see, all we need to do is super dot addition. What this will do is, it will call this method, whatever that is there in the parent class. plus now you can write whatever the code that you want to. See, int, or let's say you can write your own logic again, int, let's say, or let's just display some values. See, syso, let's say inside child addition method. Okay, and even I'll go back here and also add something else. See, system.out.println inside parent class addition method, like this. Okay, so let's save this and run it. See, first you got inside parent class addition method, plus you also got added value is 30. So this is coming from the parent method, parent addition method, because you have called super.addition. So this will call whatever the method that is there in the parent class. Then it will execute whatever the code that is there after that. So see, inside child addition method. Okay, child class addition method. Okay, so this is what the inheritance is. So whatever the parent, like if you have some code in a parent class and you want to use that in your child class, so what we can do is we can inherit like this with the help of this keyword extend. So when we are creating the class, we have to say class, the child class, whatever the name it is, extends the parent class. Then it will have access, this child class will have access to all the methods that are present in the parent class. That's what the inheritance is. And not only that, see, we created the same method in the child class, and this is called as method overloading. Okay, so that method overloading means parent has like the same name, whatever the method that you are creating, you can create that same name even in the parent as well as in the child class also. Okay, that's what is called as method overloading. So in the last class we saw, see, uh, sorry, method overloading is like same name of the method is same but different types of parameters, and this is method overriding. Okay, with whatever that we did just now in the inheritance, that is method overriding. So you already have a method with the same name in the parent, and in the child you are writing the same name, that is called as method overriding, and that can be achieved like in the inheritance also. So method overloading is, we already saw it, like same name but different types of parameters, different types of parameter types and parameter numbers and like that, count of parameters. Okay, so with the help of inheritance, like we can also do method overriding like this. Okay, so based on our requirement, like how we want to create, like if you have some code and if you want to use it, we can extend that class and then we can use it like this. Okay, this is what the inheritance is. Any questions or is it clear? Okay, so I'm just giving with a simple example with one methods, but like we can have any number of method in the parent class and you can have any number of child class methods in the child class and you can use it. Okay, so that's what the inheritance is. Okay, so next topic, I'll just create one small class. Let's say I'll give it as, let's say, exception handling. Okay, I'll have a public main method in here. See, okay, so I have a main method, and what I want to do is I want to do a simple thing. See, int, let's say value 1 comma value 2. Okay, just two values, and value 1 equal to, let's say, 10 and value 2 equal to 0. Okay, so value 1 and value 2. Then what I'm trying to do is, see, value 3 Okay, let me even define that. See, comma value 3, and value 3 equal to value 1 divided by value 2. Okay, so I'm just trying to divide it and store it into value 3. Okay, and I want to display that value. So system.out.println, let's say value 3 is plus, see, value 3. Okay, just simple code. I'm trying to create 3 variables and assign values to 2 of the variables as 10 and 0, and then I am dividing 10 by 0 and returning that value. Okay, and I have this line of code, and I have one more line of code, system.out.println, let's say script ending, like this. Okay, script ending. See, when I run, what should happen? It should divide the 10 with 0, and it should display the value, and it should also display script ending, like in the result or in the console. See, when I run this, let's see what happens. See, it says exception in thread main, like java.lang.arithmetic expression divided by 0. Okay, so what it says is there is a exception, there is something wrong in our code. Okay, and what is that wrong is we are trying to divide a value by 0. Okay, and in Java, when you divide a value by 0, it gives you an error, and that is what this error is. So that is called as exception. Okay, when there is something wrong in the code, okay, and like if you are trying to do that, and the tool will give you a error, or the Java will throw an error saying that's an exception and you cannot do it. Okay, so what's happening in line number 13, or sorry, line number 11, you are getting that error, and because of that it is not executing line number 14 and 15. Okay, so once you get an exception, like what will happen is the script will stop there itself, like it will not continue the execution. Okay, but in automation, like what we want to do, let's say when you write some lines of code, okay, not only in automation, in any language, when we write some code, in case if when you click on the run button, let's say if you have some 100 lines of code, and if you want to execute, when you click on the run button, like what it needs to do is it needs to execute all the lines, like from line number 1 to 10. Even though if it is passed or failed or whatever it is, it should not stop in the middle. If it is failed, it should give you the message and then fail. It's not like it should not stop there itself, something like this. Okay, so these are called as exceptions. And when you write the code, like we have to think of, in case if there is something that like this happens, like if there is something exception happens in our code, we should not just leave it like that. Instead, like we have to catch that, like you have to all think about it, that okay, if something like this happens, you need to do something else. Okay, that is what is called as exceptional handling. Okay, so when there is an exception in our code, we should not leave it like that. Instead, like you need to catch that and then do it, like you have to do your own task of what you want to do. In case if something like that happens, what your code needs to do, it should not just stop there itself. Okay, so that is what is called as exception handling. And in Java, like we have a very good exceptional handling. So whenever you think that a code might give you an exception, then we need to use some logic and catch that exception. And how to do that is, see, let's say here we might get an exception, because that's what we just saw, 10/10 divided by 0, it gives you a arithmetic exception. Okay, not only this, let's say when you are trying to actually work on a application, let's say when you are when you're going into application, entering username and password, let's say you are trying to click on the submit button, let's say that submit button is disabled. So at that time, what will happen, the script will try to click on submit button, but submit button is disabled, so it will stop there itself. Okay, so in those kinds of scenarios also we can use this exceptional handling. And in case if that button is disabled, okay, do something else, we can tell that. And how we can do that is with the help of try and catch blocks. So in Java we have something called as try. See, try, open and close. Okay, and then catch, open the bracket, see, exception E, and again open and close the bracket. So this is what the catch. See, this is what the syntax is. Try block and the catch block. So whatever the code that you think might throw an error or might give an exception, see, we need to keep that code in the try block. Okay, so when it tries to execute, like it will go and try it. Okay, so what it will do, it will, whatever the, in case when it is executing it, if something happens, instead of stopping, what it will go, it will come and execute in, or it will come, the control will come into the catch block. So in this catch block, you can write your own code. So in case if this is an error, do something else. If the error is, let's say, arithmetic error, do something else. If it is a some other thing, like any of the object is not displayed, like close the browser and reopen the browser or something like that. So in this catch block, you can write your own code to handle that exception. Okay, rather than stopping there itself, you want to do something else. Okay, see, value 3 like this. So in here, like I can do, see, it is giving me an object called E. So whatever the error that is there, that will be present in this E object. Okay, and I can just say E dot print stacktrace. Okay, and I can just say like this. Okay, E dot print stacktrace. Okay, see, it's giving me an error here. So see, sister, there is some error because see, it's saying that local variable value 3 may not be initialized. See, as we kept that in the try block, so it says it's not there. So I'll say value 3 equal to maybe just null. Null means empty value. Okay, or I can say 0. Okay, so value 0. So now what will happen, in case if there is an error, it will come and it will display this. See, now I'll run it. Okay, see, what happened, it didn't stop there itself. Okay, and we said E dot print stack trace. So what it will do, see, whatever the error that we got, it will display and continue the execution. Okay, see, value 3 is 0, script is ending like that. Okay, so previously what, without try and catch block, what was doing is it stopped there itself. Whenever there is a exception, it stops there itself. But with this, when we insert a try and catch block, what happens is, like whatever the error it is there, it will be cached and then it will continue the execution. Okay, so we need to make sure, like whenever we think that some code might throw an exception, we need to catch that with the help of this try and catch. Okay, and you need to continue your execution. Okay, so this is general one, like exception E means it will handle any types of exceptions. Okay, instead you can also have like some multiple exceptions. In case if you don't know what type of exceptions might come, then we can give exception E. Okay, or let's say this is a math value, like let's say it's a math value, you are adding it or you are dividing the values. Okay, so in this, you know that, okay, in case if there is an exception, then it will give a arithmetic exception. Okay, it's a math expression, that means it's a arithmetic expression. See, we can say that instead of exception, I can say arithmetic exception, something, either E or AE or whatever it is. Okay, so looks like there is a spelling mistake. Change to arithmetic exception. See, yeah. Okay, and then AE dot print stacktrace. Okay, so in case if you know what type of exceptions might come, then you can use that specific exception and use it. So like this, like you have arithmetic expression exception, and you have null pointer exception, like in case if any of the value is 0, okay, or null, so then like you can get a null pointer exception. So you can also have a null pointer exception, and at one time itself, like you can have multiple catch blocks also. See, something like this, catch, again one more, let's say null pointer exception np. Okay, and open and close the brackets. See, like this. So what it will do, first it will come, let's say in case if it is a arithmetic expression, it will go into the arithmetical expression block. In case if it is a null pointer exception, it will go into the null pointer exception block. In case if it is some other exception, it is not arithmetic, it is not null pointer, then we can have one more catch and we can have, see, that exception. If it is anything else, go to exception, like this, and e dot print stack trace, like this. Okay, and here see np dot print stack trace, like this. Either you can do this, so I'm just displaying it here. Instead, you can do whatever that you want to. You can write whatever the code. Let's say you can change the value of 2 to something else and do your math again, or you can call a method, or you can do whatever that you want to in this catch blocks. So instead of just stopping there itself, you are making sure that your script is continuing the execution without stopping there. Even though there is an error, there is an issue in your code, you are trying to handle that and you are trying to continue your execution. That is what is called as exception handling, and we can do that with the help of this try and catch blocks. Okay. Any questions? Is it clear? Okay. Okay, I think let's stop it here. Okay, because the next one is like, let's say, working with the external files, like let's say text file or like Excel files, like reading the data from the Excel file and writing the data into Excel file, reading data and writing into the text files, because like we will be using, like in the real-time scenarios, we might be using data from different sources. Like let's say you might have an Excel file with all the information, like if in case if you are trying to purchase a ticket. So the in Excel file you will put all your test data like flight name, passenger name, all the details. So in your code you might need to open, like you might need to open that Excel file or the text file and read the data that is there in it and try to process it in the application. Or you might need to process that and get the data from the application and store it into an Excel file or a text file. Okay, so for all these things, like we need to open that file and read it and process the data, okay, or write the data into it. So to do this, like we need to know, like we need to create some code and we need to use it, okay, which we'll see in the next class, like reading from the files and writing it to the files. Okay, so let's stop for today and try to practice like whatever that we covered. Okay, so just do the same thing, like whatever that we did in the class, try to use the same thing with different, like probably different values or different ways. Like try to think about, let's say in case if you're practicing a inheritance of parent class and the child class. So what you can do is you can create a class of cars. Okay, like car has a speed, car has, let's say, different properties. Like you can create like how speed of it, color of it, and then you can create a child class as BMW and have your own methods in there. Okay, and use whatever that is there in the parent class. Okay, so just try to do it in a different way and try to practice. Even if you do the same thing multiple times, that's fine. Okay, try to get used to the syntaxes and what the topic is for. Okay, so we'll try to use most of them when we are actually using the WebDriver. When we create the WebDriver, we'll try to use all of these. Okay, and then actually see how we can use the Java in our Selenium framework. So this is all Java itself. So we'll use all these concepts in our Selenium, in the WebDriver or the RC. Okay, so let's stop it for today, and like we'll continue on Monday. Okay, Monday at 7 p.m. EST. And meanwhile, in the weekend, like you try to practice, and any questions, like send me a message or call me, but try to practice for sure what are the topics that we covered so far. Okay, so let's stop it and continue on Monday.